Our dog, we used to go camping. Still. Morning, everyone. It is Monday, July 28th. This is our regular staff meeting. July's just about done.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll start with our staff and elected reports, and I'll start with Mark Reed, County Planner.
Morning, Commissioners. Mark Reed, County Planner. Got a de-annexation petition that was delivered to us here a couple of weeks ago, as well as to the city, obviously, for taking out a small area adjacent to the Kendrick Golf Course. By statute 15-1-421, within 60 days, the commission is to prepare a report on the impacts to the county pursuant to that statute. In the past, when we've had these, I don't think any of you folks have ever seen one of these before, but I just simply prepare this report looking at impacts to services and potential revenue impacts. And with this one, it's going to be minimal to none. It's some little slivers of land. The Sheridan Heights Ranch was traded with the city of Sheridan, and so they want to get these out of the city because they are going to be incorporated into a future subdivision plat. Will come before you, but anyway, it's really, in my mind, this one is not will have any significant impact. But anyway, we have to prepare that report and get it back to the city for their consideration. It's not like we're approving the actual petition, we're just preparing a report. So I'll get that to you. You would consider the report on August 19th, I think it was. So no big deal, in my opinion. So, see, construction numbers, dead even with last year at this time, 170 total permits as of Friday, and the same date last year, 170 permits. Of that 170, you hear that 170, you think, wow, that's a lot of houses. Well, that isn't all houses. Again, that's septic permits, zoning permits, building permits. So of that 170, 58 are actually new dwelling units, new homes, or apartment. That's kind of what's going on in the county this year. Construction, still busy. So, so that's all I've got. If you have any questions, try to answer.
Questions for Mark, anyone?
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Dan?
Morning. For those who have not heard yet, I'll be retiring on August 15th. So we've been working on getting things more efficient, and we'll be finishing up this week, getting the applications for new customers transferred to the city. So instead of coming here, they'll be going to the city, filling out their application. The city will collect their planned investment fee and deposit it to Saw's account. And we'll get documentation, and it'll be honorable.
Need to talk right into the microphone, Dan.
Yeah.
There you go.
I have my speech and noise on, so I hear just fine. So, again, I'll be retiring on the 15th, and we're transferring the collection and the application for new customers to the city. That will pretty much end all of the sort of clerical kind of stuff for administration, so it's by the county.
Okay.
There are other things like new developments and things like that that still have to be ongoing, and projects. We've transferred the administration of Gulch Road and Upper Road to Jeff Roseland McDowell under the direction of Christy Howe. So that part of those projects are okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Very good. Questions for Dan, anyone?
Dan, good luck on your retirement. Well earned and well deserved.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
It's a big step, I know. Okay, thanks, Dan. Misty? Ida?
Chairman, Commissioner Peterson, Thompson, County Clerk. I have to report that Mark has us up and going. We are videoing today, our first meeting. So that's great. We're going to continue with the audio as well for at least a month, and then we'll see if it will just be the video. But we're moving forward, and we'll learn today how to name them and move them to the public so they can see them. And I just, again, wanted to thank everybody for this budget season, and we did email all of the electeds and department heads their now adopted budgets. So we're well on our way.
Very good,
for the new year.
very good.
Do you have any other questions for me?
Questions for Ida, anyone? Thank you, Ida. Katie? Mark? Rowdy?
Good morning, I don't have anything.
Renee?
No, sir, thank you.
Robert?
Nothing for me.
Paul, I know you're up later.
I got something for this anyway.
Okay. Okay.
Twice. Paul, Cherry County Assessor. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I know you guys put the hiring freeze on way back when. And I was lucky enough to have 2 retire, 1 quit at that time. You guys approved those 3 positions. Well, since that time, I've had somebody else quit about 3 weeks ago. So I'm asking to have you guys lift the hiring freeze so I can hire 1 more person to get back to full staff. We're gonna need them because we're trying to figure out how we're gonna do the long-term homeowners and the homeowners exemption this year. We're talking 9,000 people that are gonna have to contact our office one way or another. So
Right.
if you guys want to come down, I'll set you up some desks.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, Paul, similar to the other positions, I don't have any issues. This is already a budgeted position, so.
Right. Right. All in agreement, you can go ahead and put another person on, can't we?
Do we need a motion?
Need a motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we allow the assessor's office to replace personnel this time.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anyone? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed. Motion passes. Go for it, Paul. Kimber?
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Kimber Solberg, Fairgrounds Director. I just wanted to invite everyone up to the county fair. The dog show is underway as this meeting takes place and festivities are beginning. So please come up. You'll see the notice on the electronic sign that kind of tells you what's coming next for the next day. The horse show, dairy show, the chaps jousting all happened this past weekend and all beautiful weather, and hope you make it up. We have a lot of good family fun events, especially for this next weekend. Don't forget the pie auction on August 3rd, 11th.
Try to remember.
Play an important role in that.
Very good, Kimber. Any questions for, is that it?
That's it.
Any questions for Kimber? I would just add, it's so good to go up and see 4-H and FFA folks, you know, just thriving. See, so thanks for everything you do for that. So anyway, thank you. Kelly? Kenny?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Cameron?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good morning. Just letting you know, I'll be out of the office starting Thursday, and I'll be back next Wednesday. As a result, there's going to be some items that we're moving to the August 19th meeting, just because I kind of want to hear from me what the contracts are. So we're just going to postpone all of those. I'll get them to you before then, but there's still a couple signatures we're waiting from the AG's office, and we just think it'll come in this week. Any questions?
Questions? Thank you, sir. Commissioner Jennings.
I don't believe I have anything this week that I know of.
Mr. Arzi?
Yeah, Rowdy, you didn't go up there, so I can commend you on, I mean, we traveled between Dayton Days and Sheridan, we traveled all the county roads, we didn't go the highway, so you're all looking good, thank you, appreciate it.
Very good. Commissioner Siddle?
No, I just hope to remind everyone once again that Kimber already took pretty good care of it about the county fair this week, and I will be auctioneering the pie auction, so if you want to come and buy a pie, have at it.
Commissioner Haswell?
Just that I'll be out tomorrow through Wednesday.
All right, I don't have anything else to add. So moving on, to item number 3 on the agenda is to consider mill levies for fiscal year 25-26 on Paul Fall County Assessor.
Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, Paul, County Assessor, I'm sure you guys have all a chance to look over the mill levies that everybody's budgeting for the Cameron and myself mostly. So we put this together and it's just breakdowns, what all the entities will be receiving from property taxes. Guys have any questions? We can look at it.
Anybody have questions for Paul? It's straightforward. Questions?
And Paul, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
and no changes from last year, I didn't see.
Correct, there's no additions.
Okay. I will say in accordance with Wyoming statute 18-3-405A4 and Wyoming statute 39-13-102G, the Board of County Commissioners are to levy the requisite property taxes for the year by order on and before the first Monday in August.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move to authorize the chairman to execute the board's order levying property taxes for Sheridan County for the 2025-26 year as presented.
Second?
Motion and a second. We don't have public comment on the agenda, but I have a request by Dennis Fox to comment on this item. So Dennis, take the mic, speak into the mic, please.
Good morning.
Talk right into the mic, mister.
I'm Dennis Fox, Major U.S. Air Force, retired. Lower taxes are better. This board can lower taxes by voting to reduce the mill levy rate. Lowering the mill rate will provide tax relief for thousands of property owners and save them millions of dollars. That allows them to keep more of their own money in their own pockets. Property owners have suffered huge tax increases for years now, and you have the power to provide them tax relief. For too long, every property tax discussion has devolved into finger pointing. The state representatives say, well, the county commissioners control the mill rate levy. While the commissioners rightly counter, the state can just make a new law. Well, guess what? The state stepped up and granted a 25% tax exemption. Now it's your turn. All eyes are now on this board and this mill rate levy vote. Will you listen to the thousands of long-suffering property owners and grant them tax relief or not? And if not, why not? Are you deaf to their pleas? Are you blind to the suffering? And don't try to threaten us with loss of services. That old lie has worn thin. All services are already bought and paid for with our tax dollars. You may need to do a better job managing it. We urge you to match the state's 25% tax cut with a 25% mill rate cut. That's only 3 mills. We also urge you to delay this vote until the public can be properly notified and their voices can be fully heard. Reminder, there are 3 commissioner seats open next year. Any commissioner voting for higher taxes will be held to account. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Questions for Mr. Fox? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make an amendment to decrease the county portion mill levy from 12 to 10.
I second that amendment.
We have a motion to amend the mill levy from 12 to 10. Discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Commissioner Jennings, that would obviously reduce our budget, which has already been approved, as the clerk just mentioned, that the budget was already approved and submitted to all of our departments. So that, by my calculation, that's about $1.25 million, somewhere in that vicinity, that our budget would need to be lowered. Do you have as part of your amendment, would you please propose how to cut our budget by 1.25 million?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sill, I appreciate, I do have a plan for that.
Okay.
One of the things that I've thought about long and hard is certain reserve accounts. And it just so happens that under our Economic Development Reserve account, we have $1.32 million in that reserve. And you're correct, 2 mil decrease would be $1,245,753. So it's underneath what we have in that Economic Development Reserve. I'd like to see us do true economic development by putting more of the people, giving more of the people's money back to them through decreasing mill levies, because true economic development is driven by the free market and by people having more of their money in their pocket. So that's kind of the plan. If this were to go through, I would immediately, at our next meeting, bring a budget amendment that would take that 1.245 million from the economic development and then put it into the general reserve to basically backfill.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I would counter with that, in your speech that you made last week, when voting against the budget, you said it was irresponsible for us to use our money from reserves to balance our budget, and that was not sustainable, which is exactly what you are proposing here, to use our economic reserve money to balance our budget, when that is certainly not sustainable. If we do that, we're not going to have that money next year in reserves to balance it with. We might be looking at a further tax cut. And no, Mr. Fox, I'm not moving to increase taxes. I'm moving to, we've already reduced taxes. We've already reduced our budget by 18%. I want to save our employees. 1,200,000 and whatever thousand is over 20 employees to our county. We just approved to rehire someone because we're trying to account for the amount that our taxes went down already. And I have heard other people come and tell us, oh no, we're not concerned if you have to reduce services. Well, I'm pretty sure you're going to be concerned in January when we don't have enough people to plow the roads if we're reducing services that have not already been paid for. So I think this is political grandstanding at its finest right here, Mr. Chairman, and it just, all the stuff that I've learned about leadership in my lifetime, this is ridiculous. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to push.
May I reply?
No, you may not.
Mr. Chairman, may I push back a little bit on this? First of all, I never considered trying to help the citizens of this county as political grandstanding. But secondly, when I look at the idea of using this specific reserve account, it's not a stagnant move. You know what? When tax dollars go back into the community, it actually will produce more tax, more ability to collect through sales tax, all those different things. So I don't see it as just a stagnant issue.
Mr. Chairman?
Please.
Yeah, the timing's of concern since we've passed the budget. We talked about that economic development money going to assist the fairgrounds with their new building, which I definitely think is economic development and a good use of those funds. I don't want to split hairs because reserves is reserves. It wouldn't necessarily need to be those dollars. But I also know we could be looking at another 25, probably are looking at another 25% cut in property taxes this next year. And I just don't think that's a move we want to be making, looking at additional cuts to our revenue. So I wouldn't support that.
I got you. I would just add that motions like this at the last second of the last minute of the last hour of the last day, I'm sorry, I don't take them serious. You have the right to make any motion and we can talk about it, but it's like the motions last week to reduce 300,000 out of detention. It's more of a political gotcha moment in my mind. So, yeah, you can tell your supporters, see what I did?
Mr. Chairman, can I respond back to that when you're finished?
You may. Our whole mission as commissioners, in my mind, is to serve the public. So draining our reserve accounts to cover this will not be a service to the public. And also got the whole process backwards. This should have been talked about at the beginning of the process, not at the last minute of the last day of the process. Every entity on our mill levy list has prepared a budget with those numbers kind of in mind. And to stomp all over that is not respecting their process. Go ahead.
Well, I'd like to go on three different things. First of all, as far as the political grandstanding, I'm attempting to follow the meetings law, which basically says that any discussion that we have, any motion needs to be done in public. And so I'm not sure exactly how I would have these discussions outside of that unless I bring it into a meeting.
How many meetings have we had in public on this budget? Multiple months and months of meetings.
And I would agree that we need to start discussing the levy even before we go to the budget.
Yes.
But that didn't happen. This is my second budget. I would love to see us have the discussion on the mill levy way before we have the discussion on the budget. I would agree with you that it is backwards. But that hasn't happened. It's the budget, this is where we are. The last point that I want to bring up is by taking this out of reserves, that is not demeaning or bringing down any of your departments because it's not dealing with anything that they've done. Their budget is still whole. This is simply coming out of reserves. So again, this is not an attempt to do a political gotcha. This is an attempt to try to say, how can we bring further relief to the people of this county that put that money in the first place through their property taxes?
I would just agree with a couple of my other commissioners that we don't know what's coming down the pike from the Brain Trust in Cheyenne. So I think we probably should keep the reserves right where they are, in my mind. Other discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I would like to address my amendment to the budget. The reason that I brought that amendment to the budget at that time was because I felt like I was thwarted, and I've been working on that since last January. And I was told that the only place that I could bring that up is during the budget meeting, and so that's why I did what I did. It has nothing to do with whether the press was here or whether constituents were here or not. What it was I saw and I still see a way, and you all agreed at the time that, hey, we need to look at this more. And you also said that this budget is kind of like a living thing that we can look at it and we can do things to it throughout the year. Okay, so I'm gonna hold you to that as well. I mean, on that part of it. But once your budget is done, then comes your mill levies afterwards. And so that's why you're seeing this motion, and I seconded to drop the mill levy now, is because that's the way it's supposed to be done for now.
Noted. All right, sir. Other discussion? We have a motion for an amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Amendment fails. Back to the original motion. Other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
No,
Motion passes. And we are on to item number 4, Sheridan County Conservation District Quarterly Update. Is Carrie here?
She's never late.
We're a little early, so we can recess until Carrie shows up. Okay. We'll reconvene now that Carrie is here. We're a little early, Carrie, sorry about that.
Sorry. A little pressure right now. That's okay, though.
morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
I'm gonna blame Andrew.
It's just too easy.
It is. I tell everybody.
Hi, Andrew.
Okay, well, just again, thank you for the opportunity to give you this update. This is a quarterly update for July, but I also, because it was also the end of the fiscal year, on the back of your usual little summary of our quarter, I gave you kind of the final fund report for our fiscal year and how our income and expenses shook out over the year. And for those that really like a lot of detail, on the back side is the allocation of all of our expense dollars among various funding sources: county, city, town, federal and state resources, foundation, private grants, and then some of our other things that come in through tree program fees and other pieces. So we'll kind of walk through that, or we won't walk through it in detail, but over the past quarter, working through a number of various projects that are various stages of construction, still processing all of those. We've got some septic projects underway, stockwater fencing, some irrigation infrastructure. The large diversion on Soldier Creek that we talked about a few different times was completed in this last quarter, so that one is all done now. We have some other contracts through the Wyoming Water Development Office Small Water Project Program that we're waiting on the notice to proceed from those before we go ahead and finalize contracts with landowners. And then we have a smattering of other requests for some stream stabilization work, including I've been working with Ken on trying to identify ways to get some engineering designs or other pieces to address the erosion on the Turner River Chamber on that county property there, and some other requests, septics and stockwater that we have that are coming to the office, and we'll prioritize those after the sign-up deadline, August 1st. So the board will be looking at those in September. For water monitoring this year, as we mentioned, we're on the Tuck River watershed. That is underway. This year, we did include some additional parameters on some select sites related to fire recovery pieces. We were able to get out there to switch some dates around after that. The debris flows and such about 2 weeks ago. Our July 17th sampling was not supposed to include fire parameters but because it was kind of happening in that time frame, we switched some of those, and there was some different colorations in the sample bottles compared to sites. So it'll be interesting. We don't have those results back yet, but it'll be interesting to see how those have changed. I know I mentioned to you before that we were working on the application of the readiness phase report for the Tuck River National Water Quality Initiative program through the USDA. We did finally receive word that report and process was approved. And so what that will do is we'll earmark about $2.6 million in USDA program funds over the next 5 or 6 years for some sub-watersheds in the Tuck River watershed in and around the towns of Dayton and Manchester. We previously had approved the Goose Creek National Water Quality Initiative. We're still working through projects on that one. That one earmarked 1.2 million in the USDA program funds for projects in the upper Big Goose watershed. So those are some funds, they won't actually come through the district. They're administered through USDA, but we were able to make sure those funds were earmarked for projects in this area. Previously, when we spoke, we talked about the level 2 feasibility study application that we were making to the Water Development Office. That application was not approved. They ended up not funding that, but we've been working with the City of Sheridan and USDA to try and find some other sources, and we submitted an application to the USDA's Watershed Protection Program, but haven't heard anything on that yet. Related to fire recovery, as you know, this year we kind of had to pivot a little bit on some things that we usually have as priorities and embark on something that's not usually part of our usual smattering of work that we do, but we secured some different grants for some mitigation work, monitoring, and some additional assessment work. So we've been working through those. On the short-term mitigation stuff, we have 3 contracts with landowners right now, and that's for removal of hazard trees. We did modify one of those after the flooding and debris flows that happened here a couple weeks ago, so that we could also include rock, cobble, and sediment, and other woody material from ponds, reservoirs, stream channels, and where there used to be stream channels and now are just rock, and then hayfields. So we're working through some of those pieces now. We have another 4 requests to consider at our next board meeting. We also received some funding to do the additional water quality monitoring, as I mentioned. And then previously we talked about the watershed assessment work to look more for identify long-term needs related to potential future debris flows or other landslides risks. A lot of it is related to risk to infrastructure in those critical watersheds, road crossings, intakes, irrigation infrastructure, diversions, some of those things. So that work is underway. And then thanks to Cameron, that we talked about this last time, we did work with him to submit an application for a hazard mitigation grant for some additional turbidity sensors at stream gauges through a request from the State Engineer's Office and DEQ. Still waiting to see if that funding was approved. So hopefully that'll come through. If not, we may have some other funding resources, but I don't want to dip into those for that and then find out this is approved. So just kind of waiting on that. Related to acne, the asbestos removal was underway through December, and we paused that because of winter conditions, and it has not actively been resumed yet this spring because of some challenges that were identified associated with that partial building demolition. That demolition of the east side was supposed to be part of that project and part of that asbestos removal because of the collapsing roof. But we have been running into some challenges associated with that demolition that we're trying to work through. So still hoping to be done by this fall, but we've started some conversations with EPA in case we do need to do an extension to that grant, and then after that, our next piece will be clean up some of the soil hotspots. We were selected as one of the presenting projects for the National Brownfields Conference in Chicago, which will be in August. So I received a couple of scholarships to attend that and give that presentation. So that when we attended the one a couple of years ago in Oklahoma City, there are a lot of people there. A little bit different than what I'm used to. It was a good experience and a lot of connections related to assistance with future phases and putting you in contact with other folks that have done the work, other potential funders, and some of those pieces. So it was pretty valuable in that regard as well. Just in terms of outreach, not an active quarter for us on a lot of outreach, but we did continue to provide water quality demonstrations for elementary schools that had requested that, kind of some long-standing ones that we've been doing for a number of years. I was asked to participate on a panel for habitat improvement work at the Wyoming Sportsperson Conservation Forum, so we attended that. And then through the Working Lands Collaborative, we had the Ranchers Night Out in Wyarno, which both Commissioner Jennings and Commissioner Argy attended, and it seemed like it went pretty well. Maybe they think differently, but I thought it was pretty good. We had the June 24th Field Day, which was the follow-up to the March workshop on fire preparedness. And that was attended by about 25 people, and the conversation was really good and saw a number of different sites, some comparisons of prescribed fire programs versus wildfire programs, and then just some other management tools on the landscape and the landowner. It was really great about showing folks a lot of the things that have been successful for them. And then one thing I wanted to just touch base with you on, in some years in the past, we have done a project tour with the commissioners and others, and wanted to just gauge if that's something you'd be interested in. Again, this year, it's been a few years, and we could do that instead of our October standing up here, and I would, as we've done in the past, invite city council and town councils and other legislators to attend. If that's something you're interested in, I'll start working on planning the tour.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll start working towards that. I know we didn't do one last year because we had the Acme tour going on and some other things. It's been a couple of years, but
Sure.
wanted to just.
We had a little fire last year too, I think, about that.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that did kind of happen, right?
Yeah.
And then won't go into a lot on the budget. Obviously, I gave you the breakdown on the budget over the last year. Feel free, I don't want to take too much of your time, but feel free to look through. I gave you the breakdown of our income and what the primary sources were for that. As usual, federal and state grants and or appropriations make up, and mostly grants, make up over 80% of our budget. And that's kind of regardless of the amount of our total budget, that breakdown is pretty consistent in terms of that percentage. Budgets did increase substantially this last year over what we're used to using, and that was in large part because of the work out at Acme and then some of the bigger projects that we had at the diversion project and some of that, so that took that up on the expenses side. Still, projects and programs, and that includes all of those big projects, our water monitoring, our outreach, our tree program, all of those oil recycling, all of those things fit into that projects and programs, which is over 80% of the expense budget. And then I also put kind of the breakdown of where we as staff, where our time gets allocated. Largest chunk, as usual, is that technical assistance, and that's that going out and meeting with landowners or working with landowners that come into the office, or doing some of that project management and site visits and those types of things. Administration is another big piece, and I hate to use that word administration. It sounds like it's just me hanging out in the office, which it kind of is, because it's a lot of work on tracking funding, writing proposals. When our funding pool is so heavily dominated by grants, there's a lot of work that goes into that. And just trying to make sure all of the whether it's a donation or an appropriation from county, city, or town, making sure it goes into the places where it needs to be. So, and on the back are just the highlights of the year, and again, all of the numbers. And with that, I'm going to go to Andrew. And I wasn't late.
Thank you, Karen, Commissioners. Somebody has to drive this station here.
I will.
Thanks for the opportunity to share kind of where we are. We're in the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2025 on the federal system, which the theme of which is kind of nailing down the quarters and finishing up. We have some yet unobligated program money that we're trying to get nailed down. The second paragraph of my little update discusses that. It's kind of the alternative to the projects that were selected for funding under the Inflation Reduction Act, and then when that money was pulled back and rolled elsewhere, we found some other in the corners, I guess. We're able to move forward with 6 of those projects. So we're getting those buttoned up, hopefully by the end of this week. Those will all be taken care of. Looking into 26, we will carry over about 32 applications, somewhere around $4.3 million in requests that were considered this year, and we have funding for, and another 30 or so that are kind of in discussion phases and scoping. So I wanted to share last week, the department
released their reorganization plan. Long and short is that shouldn't have a great deal of effect at the field office level across the country, but will move down some of the headquarters function closer to farmers and ranchers and agricultural folks. There'll be 5 regional hubs: Raleigh, North Carolina, Kansas City, Indianapolis, Fort Collins, and Salt Lake. I don't know about 4 of those, but Fort Collins is where a bunch of our IT hubs, and so that makes sense that there's already a lot of infrastructure there. So what that looks like for staff and who's there and those sorts of things is still evolving. But that's kind of what we're looking at. The other piece, I guess, for this time of year is to finish our work in the field and construction. We have several projects underway, livestock water out in our Arvada area, fencing here and there. We've finished up our fire response deferment payments this week, and then fall annual grass work, looking maybe as much as 20,000 acres again this fall, 16,000 acres this spring. So a big slug of that ahead of us. That's kind of where we'll be, I think, through the end of the fiscal year and the beginning of fiscal 26. So anyway, thanks again for the opportunity.
Questions for Carrie or Andrew, anyone? Questions? Thank you two for coming out. Sorry we weren't ready for you.
That's okay. Oh, you weren't already. And one more, just a heads up, we will be down a staff member on the next team. That's Jackie, started maternity leave this week. So if I don't get back to you immediately on a question, it's because I'm doing Jackie's job too. She was pretty good at her job, so I don't know, it's gonna be a couple. She should be back in the office around November.
Very good. All right, thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All
man.
right. Item 5 is to adjourn at 9:42.